Okay, we are moving on with our solving unit, and we are going to solve two-step equations today. So your learning target, you can solve two-step equations with integers. That's what you can do today. Here's what you do, always. When you move or when you start solving, when you have to do a couple things to get the variable alone, you move what's not connected to the variable first. And then the final thing you do is move what is connected to the variable. So you move what's not sticky, and that's what I mean by connected, and that's what you're going to hear me say today. I'm going to say what's not sticking to the variable, what is. So you move what's not first, what is second. And then here's a little equation that I have under the procedure there, and I'm giving you a visual. This 2 is not sticking to the x. That's what I would move first. The 3 is sticking to the x. I would move that second. Okay, so first one, 6n plus 15 equals 33. What's not sticking to the n?
15.
The 15. So I'm going to solve, or I'm going to move my 15 first. So how do you get rid of plus 15?
Minus
So
15.
I'm going to minus 15 to both sides of the equal sign. And I have 6n equals 18. Now I move what's sticking to it. The 6 is sticking to it. That's 6 times n. The inverse of times is to divide. N is 3. Okay, again, move what's not sticking to it, move what is sticking. So 10n minus 12 is 48. What's not sticking to my n?
12.
The 12. So I'm going to move my 12 first. So I'm going to plus 12 to both sides. And you get 10n equals 60. And then here you don't have to show the actual division process. A lot of it is kind of, you just know. Divide by 10, n is 6. Okay, next one, what's not sticking to my y, the 2 or the 8?
8.
The 8. So I need to move that negative, it's really a negative 8. I need to move that negative 8. What's the inverse of minusing 8? Adding 8. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides. And y over 2 equals 15. Now I got to move that 2. How am I going to do it?
2 over y.
I'm going to multiply by 2 to both sides, cancels out that 2. Remember, our final goal is to get the variable by itself. Now y is alone, and y is 30. Okay, then, what did I move first, the 4 or 11 on the next one? 11. So I'm going to minus 11 to both sides, and I get x over 4 equals 20. That's x divided by 4. The inverse of divide is to multiply, so I'll multiply both sides by 4, and x is 80. Okay, next one. Which 4 should I move? The plus 4 or divide by 4? I should move that plus 4 because that's not sticking to it. So, you can go ahead and make your line if you like to make the lines. It looks like I'm getting in the habit of making the lines now too. Minus 4, minus 4. You're actually going to add them because they're the same, so that's negative 6 equals x over 4. Now how do I move the last 4? I multiply both sides, and you get negative 24 equals x. Okay, and last one. What do I need to move first, 2 or minus 3?
Minus 3.
And how do you move minus 3?
Plus 3.
I'm going to plus 3 to both sides. And I get negative 10 equals 2y, negative 5 is y. I do want to show you an example that I saw students do in their homework today that can be a little bit confusing. If you had something like this, 12 minus 2x equals 16. They knew to move the 12, but the question was how. There's no sign in front of it, right? So really what you got to think about, what I personally think about, I always cover it up. It's a big question that 7th and 8th graders have. I cover up everything. Let's make this a little bit bigger. And then I say, well, is this a positive or negative 12? Positive 12. How do you get rid of a positive?
Subtracting.
Subtract it. Also, you should plus a negative. And then you could do the inverse of the sign. So the inverse of plus is to subtract. Do it to both sides. You'd have negative 2x is 4, x is negative 2. Okay? So just know that you can just say, well, is it positive or negative? What's the inverse of that? Last side. Fraction equations, bumping up the rigor level a little bit more. So when you're given fraction type equations, we're going to use that trick we kind of practiced today and get rid of the denominator. Except today it's not an option, it's a have to. It's an option if it looks like this. That's an option. This is not an option. And I'm hoping you can visualize. If the fraction is sticking to the x, it's an option. Here it's not. X is just a part of the fraction here. There's operations that are being involved. So, what do you think you should move first, the 5 or the 3? 3. Now, some of you might think 5 because the 3 looks like it's kind of sticking to the x. So you might be like, oh, I should move the 5 first. But the 5 is stuck. There's no way, you can't move the 5, see? There's no room for the 5 to go. The 3 has it trapped up on the top. So you need to get rid of that 3 and times both sides by 3. There, cancel. And now what do I have left? X plus 5 equals 18. Now I can move my 5. X equals 13. Okay. Now what should I move? The minus 3 or the 4? The 4, because you can't move the minus 3. See, it's stuck. That 4 is in the way, so I need to get rid of that 4. So in order, that's divide by 4. I'll times both sides by 4. Cancels it out. And you get x minus 3 is negative 24. Now what? Plus 3. And then you get x equals negative 21. And that's our learning target for today.